So we're going to talk about a very important topic on how we can build purpose-driven technology and the importance of sustainability and how a sustainable business, how a sustainable business-driven innovation is done, and some of the real-world use cases. So your hackathon is also related to this area. So I'm pretty sure this will add some value when you're looking at developing solutions and innovations that are going to tackle these real-world problems. Right. So what is sustainability? So most of the time,
Calvin?
yep.
Sorry, Calvin, pardon. It would be great if you can do a quick intro as well.
Introduction about myself.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry. So sorry, I forgot to do that. So I'm Calvin Hindle, and I work as a manager for the emerging technologies for Millennium IT ESP. So pretty much my work revolves around the new technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, and productization, and also looking at solutions that are trying to really tackle real-world problems related to healthcare and so on. So that's my background. I have six and a half years of experience in various of these areas. So I'll be showing you some really interesting use cases which are happening in the world and some of the stuff that we're also working on. So that's about my introduction. So getting back to the presentation, I was talking about, okay, what is the sustainability? So most of the time, people think that sustainability is only related to environmental conservations. But actually, sustainability is about meeting our present needs without compromising the ability of the future generation and focusing on all of these three areas: environment, economics, and social. So environment is about how we can look at the climate change, which we'll go into detail in the future slides. And the economic aspect is how we need capital. Because without capital, we cannot do changes. We cannot, do innovation. You need capital to do that. So how you focus on where you're going to use that capital. And the social aspect. So under social aspect, you have many things like healthcare accessibility, education access for everyone, poverty, and so many things. So sustainability is not simply about environmental conservations. It's all of these three aspects. So these are the sustainable development goals. I'm pretty sure you have gone through this because your hackathon is related to these areas. So sustainable development goals has a vast area, from healthcare to climate change to gender equality, quality education. So definitely from a technology and engineering perspective, there are so many things we can do in these areas. It's a vast area. So it's important that whatever innovations which we are doing in the future, that would try to tackle at least one of these areas, right? So why are these sustainable development goals introduced by UN? So sustainable development goals are the blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all of us. The reason is, as we all know, the world is not heading to a good place, right? You see daily stats about climate change, and look at the situation we are living in right now. This pandemic situation, right? Life is not easy. So how we can change it to a betterment? That's the main goal here. So in order to do that, as companies, businesses, startups, and innovation, we cannot live in the past. We cannot have that old mindset, the legacy business models, where work is all about task and numbers, where work and business is all about how much the company raised and how much it spent. And work is about spreadsheets, right? And they're looking at immediate results, immediate financial results, monetary results, how much you can, achieve in your sales quarters and so on. And employees were treated as disposable commodities, like for example in the manufacturing industry. So to do positive change and tackle sustainable innovations, we had to completely change how businesses and organizations function. We cannot work like this. So a purpose-driven business is very different. Their focus is on the social aspect, the social impact. And the goal is not solely financial gain. Their goal is not only to make money, but while making money, to make some impact. And they operate on a socio-conscious capitalist model. That means they need capital, they need to make money, but also they focus on what are the kind of impacts they do with their business. Society is the core of their business model. So there is a statement of this triple bottom line: people, planet, profit. That is their main motto of purpose-driven business. And in 2018, in Europe alone, 1 in 4 startups was a social business. So which means that, purpose-driven businesses or sustainable-driven businesses are not just CSR anymore. They are actual businesses that make money and also make a positive impact. So purpose-driven businesses are different than traditional business. They are not, they are very much future focused, right? They are not looking at the short-term goals. Now, for example, if you look at companies like Tesla and SpaceX, so SpaceX right now operates in a way where they supply equipment and necessary goods that are needed for the space stations, like NASA and probably the Russian space stations and so on. But their main vision is to innovate that how they can take human beings to Mars. That is the long-term vision, right? So purpose-driven businesses are not short focus, they're long-term focus. And for them, sustainability is not a trend. Now, most of the time we see companies talking about sustainability and, they are fully focused on sustainability. They are fully, human driven and all of that. But that's just a marketing gimmick. But purpose-driven businesses are fully focused on sustainability, and they are partnership oriented. They are just not looking to build a solution and sell it off and make a quick buck. They are looking at how they can partner with other partners in industries like healthcare or climate. And they have purpose-driven team, because without a purpose-driven, passionate team, you can't achieve this. And they are human-centric. They have empathy, right? So this all combines on how a purpose-driven organization works. So just look at this statement. Disruption is the watchword. Everyone talks about disruption. It's like most spoke about keyword. With technology changing at a hyper speed, corporations may struggle to build a foundation for long-term success. Traditionally, organizations have emphasized how much revenue they create and how much expenses they cut. With the challenges facing society today, that simple focus is no longer sustainable. So what it says here is companies, now most of you might be thinking of developing new solutions, developing startups, but your core focus, if your core focus is just about making money, you're not going to sustain. If you're not making a considerable impact in society or either addressing one of these sustainable development challenges. Sustainable innovation. What is sustainability innovation? There is a nice saying, tech is the answer, but what is the question? So we say we are doing so many technology innovations out there. If so, why are we in a situation right now, the pandemic? So the pandemic has actually opened a lot of eyes, which shows that the so-called hyped up innovations which we are doing, we are not focusing on the actual problems. We are doing innovation which are not very useful. So the most important thing when you're building your solutions and your innovation is to understand what problem you're going to solve, whether it has a global impact, whether it has a local impact. So that is very important. So then why is sustainability important now than ever before? Is it just a marketing gimmick? Is it just a small marketing differentiation for companies to show that, you know, why sustainability is important, all of that, right? So the numbers don't lie, right? So if you look at the figures on your left side, this is the early days of the Industrial Revolution, before even the Industrial Revolution. Look at the carbon in atmosphere. Look at the remaining vegetation in the world, 66%. But in 2020, that has declined. That means the remaining wilderness, the remaining rainforest vegetation in the planet is at 35%, which is, I mean, really scary. So carbon in the atmosphere, 415 parts per million, that's increased. So what has our previous generation been doing? We are saying that, you know, we are doing technology innovations, we are doing this and that, but what is happening? The real problems are not being addressed. The numbers don't lie, right? So this is where we need to focus. At least our generation needs to turn this around. From the Industrial Revolution to now, whatever fortune companies are there, they have failed. Yes, they are making a lot of money. They are trillions and billions dollars worth, but they have not been addressing the main problem in the planet. So this new generation, you have the power to change. Now I want to share you a documentary that I watched, which inspired me a lot, and I urge you also to watch this documentary. It will show you how things are changing, how the planet is heading. Because when we live our daily lives, we don't notice this. We are just living our daily lives. So I'll just share you that trailer of this documentary. If you can note it down and watch it. So let me just play that to you right now. I hope you can hear this. So if you can have some time, free time, watch the documentary. It's really, really great. And the most important statement so far, which I found, is how we can work with nature rather than against it. That's very important. Now, going forward under sustainability, there are many areas. So unfortunately, we won't be able to tap all those areas. But I'm going to talk about, of course, climate change. So as you know, climate change is real. It's not a gimmick anymore. As you know, the world's temperature is increasing daily. Carbon dioxide levels are increasing. It has, you know, mammoth scale of impact in terms of weather patterns, you know, rainforest devastations, and so on. So climate change is real. As you know, climate change is all about the amount of CO2 that is in the atmosphere, or the greenhouse gases, and that increases the planet's temperature. And because of that, the weather patterns are changing. Just look at Sri Lanka. In our lives, the monsoons and how the monsoons probably were happening many years ago has changed, right? We don't have the pattern anymore. It's happening as we live. And then drought, the Arctic, sea levels are rising. All of this is happening in a large scale. So I want to show you something interesting. So there's this website called Global Climate Change from NASA. Let me show you that screen. It's a really interesting site which shows you how much damage is happening to the world. Can you see my screen? I'm
Yeah, we
sharing
can
my.
see your screen. Yeah,
All
can
right,
see.
all right. So if you go to this website, you can see the damage which has been done in various aspects. For example, if you go to carbon dioxide, in a timeline, in a time machine, you can see the damage which is happening out there. So for example, starting from 2002, if you drag this, just to see the amount of carbon dioxide increase in the planet, it's just devastating up to 2016. It's right now at about 400 parts per million, right? So from here to here, see what has happened, right? Then if you go to global temperature, right? Go to global temperature, they have from the 1800s. Just imagine, look at the global temperature changing from the 19s, 80s, and so on. Massive increase of global temperature. Also, you can go and see the Arctic ice, how it's been melting, and the impact that is having on the sea levels. So look at this. So you can see the stats and see the actual damage of what's happening out there. And if you go to images, this is also a nice way of looking at the damage. So this is I think, in China, a lake completely vanished. See? So just go to this site and see the impacts which are happening in terms of climate change. I just wanted to share you this. So let's get back to the presentation.